Welcome, everyone. I'm excited to have you here today. Our presentation is titled, Why Most Women Betray Loyalty Without You Seeing It. We'll be exploring the subtle ways loyalty can be tested and sometimes betrayed without obvious signs. Over the next few minutes, I'll share insights that can help you better understand these dynamics and perhaps see things from a new perspective. So let's get started. In modern relationships, loyalty is often misunderstood. Many men believe that betrayal only happens when a woman physically cheats. But the truth is, disloyalty actually begins much earlier than that. It starts on an emotional, energetic, and psychological level. A woman can betray you in silence, not through overt actions, but through subtle signs like disengagement, disconnection, and a quiet withdrawal of respect. Recognizing these early signs is crucial because it helps us understand that loyalty isn't just about actions. It's about emotional investment and mutual respect. When we see these signs, we can address issues before they escalate into something much more damaging. This understanding ties into the overall theme that true loyalty requires ongoing effort and awareness from both partners. To understand why most women betray loyalty without you even noticing, we first need to explore what truly drives female attraction. What are the core factors that make someone feel connected or drawn to another person? And just as important, what silently kills that attraction over time? This slide breaks down these dynamics using the lens of Stoic philosophy, which emphasizes emotional mastery, self-control, and presence. These are the key qualities that can determine whether a man inspires loyalty or inadvertently invites betrayal. Throughout this presentation, we'll see how mastering these aspects not only influences attraction, but also helps you build deeper, more genuine connections. So, by understanding these underlying forces, you'll gain insight into how loyalty is formed and how it can be lost, often without obvious signs. Let's talk about emotional reactivity and how it affects relationships. One of the main reasons women might betray loyalty, often starting emotionally, is when a man struggles with emotional regulation. When a man reacts impulsively, say, to rejection, criticism, or misunderstandings, he's sending a very clear message. My emotions control me. Women don't tend to lose attraction because of age, looks, or income. What truly erodes trust and loyalty is when a woman can't rely on a man's calmness. If she senses that beneath his smile there's volatility, tension, or suppressed anger just waiting to surface, it creates a sense of instability. And that instability is a turnoff because it makes her question whether she can trust him to handle emotions maturely. Ultimately, emotional reactivity signals a lack of emotional regulation, and that's what pushes a woman away, because she values stability and calmness in a partner. So, from an evolutionary and psychological perspective, women are naturally wired to seek emotional safety in their relationships. When they sense emotional instability, it's often perceived as a sign of danger or threat. A man who struggles to self-regulate, who can't manage his own emotions, tends to create anxiety rather than foster connection. And that's a crucial point. When a woman feels emotionally unsafe, her initial response isn't to physically leave right away, but to emotionally distance herself. At this stage, she's still physically present, but her heart begins to wander. You might notice her becoming colder, less responsive, or even more secretive. This is what I call the beginning of invisible betrayal, the psychological withdrawal of loyalty. It's subtle, but it signals that her emotional engagement is starting to fade, which has profound implications for the health of the relationship. Understanding this process helps us see how emotional safety is foundational, and how its absence can quietly drive a wedge between partners. So here's an important idea from the Stoics like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus. True strength isn't about controlling the world around us, but about mastering our inner world. Emotional control doesn't mean suppressing how we feel. It's about learning to channel those emotions effectively. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That's a powerful reminder that our greatest strength comes from within. A true Stoic man, for example, might turn anger into clarity, rejection into reflection, and discomfort into discipline. His calm isn't passive, it's incredibly potent. It shows that his peace cannot be easily shaken by others, moods, by tests, or chaos around him. And here's the interesting part. That grounded, unshakable peace actually has a paradoxical effect. It can rekindle her loyalty and attraction because confidence and calm are attractive qualities. So, in essence, mastering your inner world and maintaining your composure isn't just about personal resilience. It's also a way to positively influence those around you. Let's talk about the second hidden reason women tend to drift away, which I call the illusion of control. Many men, especially those who mean well, fall into this trap of trying to control every outcome in love. They might overtext, over-apologize, or overanalyze every interaction, thinking that if they just say the right words, she'll feel the right things. But here's the thing. This obsessive need for control is rooted in fear. Fear of losing her affection, fear of not being enough. And women can sense that fear immediately. When a man's peace depends on her reaction, she subconsciously realizes, he's not leading himself, he's just following my approval. This is what the Stoics warned us about over 2,000 years ago. Epictetus said, "Some things are in our control and some are not." A woman's mood, her affection, her approval, those are not in your control. But your thoughts, your actions, your integrity, those are within your control. When a man bases his self-worth on her behavior, he loses both his power and her respect. But when he detaches from the outcomes, when he simply offers his best and lets go, he becomes magnetic. Because true detachment isn't indifference, it's confidence. It's the message that says, I am enough, regardless of your reaction. This shift completely transforms the energy in the relationship. A man who chases validation feels desperate, but a man who gives freely and remains centered in his peace commands genuine devotion. Women tend to betray loyalty most when a man becomes emotionally dependent, when he stops being the calm center of his own life and starts orbiting around hers. Remember, true masculine energy doesn't chase the wind. It adjusts its sails. It's about standing firm, confident, and unattached to the outcomes, which ultimately makes you more attractive and respected. Now let's talk about the third silent destroyer of female loyalty, the ego's attachment to past glory. Many older men fall into this trap, living in stories of who they used to be. They often talk about past success, former strength, or previous attractiveness, thinking that reminiscing will rekindle admiration. But here's the thing, women don't crave nostalgia, they crave presence. When a man frequently says, back in my day, what she's really hearing is, I peaked already, I'm not fully here now. This kind of storytelling, driven by ego, signals insecurity. It's an unconscious plea for validation, a subtle way of saying, see me as valuable because I once was. But real masculine magnetism isn't about bragging or living in the past. It's about quiet confidence. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that the past and future are out of your control. Only the present belongs to you. A Stoic man earns respect not through memories but through his presence, by how he listens, pays attention, and radiates calm curiosity. When a man stops being fully present, the woman stops feeling seen. And when she stops feeling seen, her emotional loyalty begins to fade. So instead of saying, I used to be, a man should focus on being that man now, grounded, curious, and emotionally alive in the moment. That's what reawakens loyalty and attraction. Now let's talk about the core of the Stoic solution, mastering yourself rather than trying to control her. In reality, most women don't betray loyalty out of malice. Rather, it's often driven by emotional disappointment. When a man loses control of his emotions, tries to manipulate outcomes, or hides behind his ego, she begins to lose faith in his leadership on a subconscious level. And when that happens, her heart can start to wander, seeking the emotional safety, curiosity, and strength she once felt in the relationship. The key here is that the solution isn't about manipulation or tricks. It's about mastery of yourself. You want to master your emotions so that your peace remains unshakable, no matter what's happening around you. You also want to master your detachment, so your sense of worth isn't dependent on her reactions or external validation. And finally, you need to master your ego, so your presence and confidence naturally replace past insecurities and neediness. This approach is what I call Stoic attraction. A quiet, powerful presence that doesn't demand respect but embodies it. When you practice silence instead of chasing, observe instead of react, and lead yourself instead of trying to lead her, her loyalty begins to return naturally. Not because she feels forced or pressured, but because she genuinely wants to stay connected to that strong, centered version of you. That's the essence of true attraction, when it flows from inner mastery rather than external control. Final thought. A woman's betrayal is rarely visible at first. It begins in the unseen, in the emotional space between your reactions, your fears, and your ego. This is a crucial point, because often we don't notice the signs immediately. But the true test is how we handle those internal moments, our reactions, our fears, and our ego. A stoic man, grounded in presence, doesn't need to chase loyalty. He earns it through his composure, integrity, and calm energy. And that's the core of real masculine power, not trying to control her, but mastering himself. Because when a man masters himself, the world, and the woman beside him respond to his calm, not his chaos. So, the essence of true strength isn't about exerting control over others. It's about command over oneself. That's what creates genuine connection and trust, through self-mastery and calm confidence.